The crisp sound of a bugle echoed through the cemetery. Mourners stood silent, their faces filled with solemn respect and heavy hearts. Rows of soldiers, families, and friends gathered beneath gray skies, each carrying the weight of loss and honor in the quiet air. Suddenly, the stillness was shattered. A white police officer appeared, his voice sharp and commanding. "Hands where I can see them!" he shouted, drawing his gun and pointing it without hesitation at a black man standing tall in uniform. That man was General Raymond Holt, a respected four-star military officer. He had come to bury his daughter, a brave combat medic who had lost her life serving the country. But in that moment, the general was treated not as a hero, but as a suspect, targeted unfairly and without cause. Chaos erupted instantly. Mourners screamed in shock and disbelief. Soldiers moved quickly to shield General Holt, forming a protective barrier. The funeral nearly unraveled, the flag-draped coffin trembling in the commotion. Through it all, the general stood firm, composed, steady, unwavering. The officer barked, "You fit the description of a suspect fleeing a robbery nearby." A soldier shouted, "That's General Holt, sir." But the officer refused to listen. His eyes never left the general as he ignored the protest, clinging to his mistaken belief. Calmly, General Holt raised his hand slightly, voice steady. "I am unarmed," he said softly. "This is my daughter's funeral. Please stand down." Despite the plea, the officer's gun remained raised, a symbol of fear and prejudice. Military police arrived swiftly, stepping between the officer and General Holt. Their presence calmed the chaos, and the gun was finally lowered. The funeral resumed, but the atmosphere had shifted, heavy with tension and sorrow. Eyes watched every movement, suspicion and pain hanging thick in the air. The entire incident was caught on camera. Within hours, the footage spread like wildfire across social media platforms. Outrage erupted nationwide as viewers demanded accountability. Hashtags like #Justice for Holt and #End Racism. In uniform trended across the country. People from all walks of life united in calls for change. After days of silence, General Holt stepped forward to speak publicly. His voice was calm but powerful, filled with pain and resolve. He spoke about the deep wounds caused by racism, the honor he holds for his daughter, and the humiliation he faced on what should have been a day of respect. Protests ignited across cities nationwide. Civil rights leaders raised their voices, demanding justice and reform. Politicians found themselves pressured to respond, as this incident became a symbol of systemic problems. The moment had grown into something much larger than a single case. Investigations soon uncovered the officer's troubling past. Complaints of misconduct and racial slurs were buried and ignored for years. Warnings about his behavior had been overlooked, revealing a long history of racism and abuse of power. The officer was formally charged with multiple crimes: aggravated assault, racial profiling, unlawful use of a firearm, and threatening a decorated military official on duty. The case was moving swiftly toward trial. The courtroom was packed, tension filling every seat. The jury was shown the viral footage again and again. The public followed the trial closely, watching every moment unfold. The defense struggled to justify the officer's actions, facing overwhelming evidence and national outrage. After just 2 hours of deliberation, the verdict was clear: guilty. The judge sentenced the officer to life in prison, with no chance of parole. General Holt remained calm and composed. He didn't cheer or celebrate. Instead, he said quietly, "Justice is not revenge. It's accountability." His strength and dignity resonated deeply with millions across the nation. Police departments across the country began reviewing their practices. Cold cases were reopened, and investigations into racial bias were renewed. The long-ignored issue of racism in uniform was finally being addressed. What had started as a funeral for General Holt's daughter became a moment of national reckoning. The cemetery, once a place of sorrow, transformed into a symbol, a reminder of both grief and powerful change. General Holt's dignity throughout the ordeal reminded the world that even heroes in uniform face prejudice. But his courage, especially in mourning, showed how one act can move mountains. His story inspired a nation to stand taller against injustice, a legacy of strength born from pain. If this story moved you, please reflect, share, and speak out. Remember, the fight for justice never ends, even at a graveside. Your voice can help bring real change.